Thank you.
So today I'm just going to talk about different ways that you can use LinkedIn effectively. So the first thing that you want to make sure you do is to just build out your profile. So one of the important things is to customize your URL. So from your LinkedIn profile page, you can change it to a shortened version. So for instance, on this example, it's that linkedin.com/in/David Shao. So the default often has a lot of numbers and letters after your name. It depends how common your name is. So you can kind of try different combinations if you want, but having that shorter URL just makes it easier for people to find you. So I would suggest doing that. And you want to make sure that you have a descriptive headline. So your headline is going to be that line under your name. So you could do things like list your degree program. So, if you're a data analytics student, you could list your current job title is typically the default for your LinkedIn profile. You could list the job title you're aspiring to. So, maybe you're currently working as a cashier at Target, but you're wanting to get into data analytics work. So you could say, aspiring data analyst. You can also have a little bit wordier. So sometimes you might see folks who have something like, connecting students with careers. That's certainly fine if you want to take that tack. What I would say is that people's headline will cut off after a few words in a search. And so if you have kind of a brief one, that just would help people have some context if they were looking at your profile. So I would avoid anything too wordy there. It is also really important to have a good summary. So your summary might be a couple of sentences, it might be a couple of short paragraphs. You just want to make sure that you're covering, who are you? What are you kind of up to right now? Where are you going? So if you are looking for a particular type of opportunity, so for instance, if you're looking for summer internships, you could specify that you're looking for, summer data focused internships. You could mention if, what your long-term goal is. So it's up to you, but that summary is really helpful for people, especially if they don't know you well. Because if they're checking out your profile, it's helpful to know if you're getting an MBA, what type of jobs are you interested in? Are you interested in getting into management or finance or accounting or marketing? Somebody may not know that at first glance. And if there's anything that you feel like is, sort of your strengths, areas of expertise, you can obviously specify in that summary as well. And then for any of your experiences, you want to add in descriptions. So your experiences could be volunteer, they could be work experience, internships, involvement with different organizations on and off campus, but you want to have at least some brief description of what you did in the role. So you could copy and paste the same thing from your resume. That is absolutely fine. You could also just have like a shortened kind of couple of sentences to say this is what you did in that role. A lot of people don't put this in, and there are many job titles out there that don't give people a good sense of what you do. If your job role is customer success specialist, that could mean a lot of different things, right? So help people with a little bit of context there. So once you kind of got that core of your profile filled out, you can add a variety of skills. And so sometimes LinkedIn will prompt you based on certain jobs you've had if it thinks, these are common ones that are associated with those titles. But you can select what makes sense to include. And then you can also have your connections endorse those. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily anything that's a make or break for recruiters, that's going to in and of itself be a huge deal, but you certainly could do that. And those skills are things that are searchable by recruiters. So if there are common skills for your area, you want to make sure those are listed, and especially any type of relevant technology. So, if you're going into data analytics, you would want to have things like, SQL or Power BI or Tableau or Excel, those common programs that might come up, because that is an easy way for people to look for folks.
I can have a question.
For sure.
Because the professor offer me some some course from LinkedIn Learning,
Oh,
and
yes.
they will provide some certificates. And can I add it to the skills and
Hmm.
it's a link, or it's just a it's a certificate or something like that, right?
Yeah. So for the LinkedIn Learning part, is that what you're wanting to kind of add in, like the courses you've done?
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, if you go to that LinkedIn Learning aspect, like if you switch over from the main LinkedIn to the learning component, if you go into your history, there should be an option from there that you can kind of select to like download that certificate, or have the option to link it to your profile. So yes, you can absolutely include any of those LinkedIn courses you've done just to show that you're continuing to build those skills. You can also potentially kind of add in examples of your work. So, you want to make sure it's not like proprietary company information, but if you are a marketing student and, you created some graphics, whether for a class project or an internship, if you wrote an article, those are actually things that you can upload if you want to give people other examples of your work as well. There are also other things that you can include. So obviously you mentioned like those LinkedIn Learning courses. If you've taken other professional development courses, like maybe you did the American Red Cross first aid certification, you could list that. If you have other professional licensures, like if you're an accountant and you have your CPA or something, you can list volunteer experience, you could list publications, projects. So those projects, could be class, they could be freelance work, just personal things you're working on, honors and awards, languages you speak, and organizations that you're involved with in some capacity. So LinkedIn has those preset sections. You can't change the title of them or anything, but you can choose, what you want to include, what makes the most sense to add in. Something else is you can have recommendations. So, if you're going to ask somebody for a recommendation, usually that would be the type of person that you would use as a reference. So somebody who's supervised you before, they're a professor of yours, a work colleague, or a mentor. And it's kind of just a polite to offer to write them a recommendation or to do that and then ask if they feel comfortable writing you one. And you can choose, if somebody writes you a recommendation, you can choose to have it, like publicly posted on your profile or not. So if for some reason you felt like what they wrote didn't maybe make sense or kind of align with your goals for some reason, you don't necessarily have to have that published. So that's kind of the different profile sections. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of like the other different features with LinkedIn. So as you're filling out your profile, you have things in good shape. You just want to make sure that you're growing your network. So I would start with people you know well. So those might be, your friends, your colleagues from work. They might be family friends. They don't necessarily have to be related to your career area because you never know who might be useful down the road or who might have connections at different places. So I would start with those folks and then branch out. So, you could reach out to other folks in the area. So if you're involved in different associations on or off campus, maybe people you know from there, if you have former like work colleagues or current, you could add them in. Other people like from Webster. So if there are people that you know, people that are alumni, so you have a connection point with them. other people from, kind of your community area, if you know your neighbors or things like that. So those are just kind of some different groups that you might think through of who you would want to add in and request connections from. So it's a good idea to start with people you know, because then if you are reaching out to recruiters or, maybe alumni that you don't have a personal connection with, then it looks like your profile is more active than if you have 5 connections and you're reaching out to somebody. The alumni tool, which I can show you all a little bit, is a really good way to find connections, especially if they are alumni. So when you go to the Webster University page, you can actually filter by people who have a Webster degree listed in their profile. So I'm gonna flip back really quick and I can show you all what that looks like. Okay. Can you see the LinkedIn page okay?
Yes, I can
Okay,
see them.
great. So if you look up Webster University, you can also do this for other universities or other companies on LinkedIn. If you click this alumni tab, there are these different search filters. So you can put in a keyword if you want, and then all of these options will just pre-populate the most common things. So for instance, if you want to find connections in the St. Louis area, this will change. So these are some of the larger employers in town, like BJC Healthcare, SSM. If you're looking for something specific, you could add in. So we want to see if anybody in the St. Louis area works for Deloitte, then that will continue filtering. You can also choose kind of the area, the type of job they work in, skills, what they studied. So sometimes there's different phrasings. Like if you're a communication student, it might be marketing and advertising or marketing or communication. So you can try out some different options. But as you continue to narrow down, it'll then pull people's profiles who match those filters. So if you're ever looking to do some informational interviews, to talk to professionals in your area, that's a really good way to find folks. You can also do this for other companies. So for instance, Deloitte is a large company. If you go to their page, it's just called people. It is the same filtering situation though. And so if you want to do it that way, you can also add Webster as a university. So that's just always a really good way to find folks. Let's see. When you do reach out to any connections, just make sure you're proofreading your communication. If you don't know that person well, you should personalize your message. So if you go to that person's LinkedIn profile and click connect from there, then you can choose to write a really brief message to say, oh, I met you at this event, or I saw that you're working in this area and I'd love to talk to you more about that. LinkedIn does limit some of those kind of personalized requests every month if you have the normal free version. So, kind of try to send out a few at a time. If you're like trying to connect with 50 people in one day, it may get a little unhappy or cut you off. So, just something to be aware of. So if you're reaching out to somebody you don't know well, you want to be concise because it's not a very big box that you have, but just kind of let them know, who are you? Why are you contacting them? What you want to learn about if you're trying to set up an informational interview, for instance. If there's something that made you interested in talking to them more. So they might be an alumni. Maybe they work at a company that you're really interested in. Maybe they do something in kind of a particular aspect of your role or career that you're really looking to learn more about. So it just helps people as they're getting that connection request from you, because people are much more likely to respond to you if they know what you want from them. Because if you say, "Oh, I'd love to talk to you for 20 or 30 minutes about, your experience working in advertising in-house and at a large advertising agency, and what that looked like for you." Because if you just send a random request, they may not know, are you just going to ask them for a job? Are you a vendor trying to sell them something? Why do you want to get to know them? So, like I said, you can be very brief. It's just a few sentences, but just to kind of give you a sense of this is why I'm reaching out. And so that personal impact does potentially help people respond to you. Don't be upset if you don't get 100% response rate. I don't either when I reach out to people. You're always going to have some people that are just busy. They don't check their LinkedIn very often, but that will at least help you out. You can also certainly engage with employers in a variety of ways through LinkedIn. So you can follow different companies or organizations and then kind of get alerts as they post jobs or post, on their feed about what they're up to. Obviously, building those connections with other people. It's also really helpful when you are sending out those personalized connection requests. If you met somebody at an event, for instance, if you say, "Oh, it was so nice to meet you at this career fair, at this event through the Mosaic Project," that helps you and them down the road. Because then if they say, "Oh, this person's reaching out to me, why do I know them again?" and that's in your message history, that kind of helps you be more memorable down the future as well. As you kind of continue building out your network, you also just open up the door to more of those second degree. So those are those people that you aren't directly connected with, but people you are connected with them. There are a variety of groups. So some LinkedIn groups are, just free. You can just join if you're interested. So they might have, IT professionals and people post about trends or questions about the industry and things. And then some are more geared towards particular memberships. So it might be this is a closed group for people who are a paid member of this association. So that generally will always kind of be in the description, but sometimes it's a good way to connect with other people outside of your area who are still in your industry or have similar career goals. And I would suggest making at least some aspect of your profile public. So you can go through your security settings. You don't necessarily have to make your entire profile like available in a Google search. You can limit it to people who are logged into LinkedIn, or limit section by section of your profile what you want to be viewable. But if you have some of the core information viewable to people who are on LinkedIn, then if someone is trying to find you and they see, "Oh, yes, I know you because we both went to Webster. I'm seeing that on your profile," or, "We work together at this organization," things like that. It does help to have a little bit of that information available so people can make sure that you're the right person they're trying to connect with. In terms of job searching, so that job search is at the top of the screen. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure to put in some initial search filters
You mean,
because it will,
I think
yes,
that the screen is just showing, I let me
here, I can
see.
reshare. So yes, I flipped
Yeah,
over to the LinkedIn. Sometimes it doesn't always move with me.
yes.
Okay, are you seeing
Thank
that
you.
now? Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. So when you go to this jobs tab at the top, it's just going to show you these couple of options. So for instance, we'll just put in a data analyst. So once you type something in, all of these other filters pop up. So you can search, by when they were posted, what kind of level, company, all of these different areas. So there's a lot that you can do. You just have to set some initial parameters. Um, For LinkedIn, there are kind of two different ways you can apply. So for some opportunities, they will accept applications through LinkedIn. Some of them will have like an easy apply designation, and some will have this kind of little arrow with the apply, and that is indicating that it's taking you to that company's website to apply. So, either way is fine. For those kind of easy apply, you can actually have that as a filter to see which ones accept those. The thing to know about easy apply is that what it does is it turns your LinkedIn profile into a sort of resume document. So it's not necessarily formatted the way a normal resume would be, but it is consistent across candidates. So obviously, if they accept that, that is an option. But I would say in general, you are probably better off like applying through their website if they have it also posted there. Because if you've done a good job on your resume, you've put time in for that, you know exactly what they're going to be seeing versus that kind of easy apply profile is not necessarily the best format. Like for my profile, it turns it into a 4 or 5 page document because it's 2 column. And so half of that, page isn't used because that's just how they have that set up. So just something to be aware of, but it is certainly an option. It is a little bit less work because you're just clicking through. You're not necessarily having to create an account on the company's website or something like that. So that's kind of the basics with the job aspect. And then if we go back over here, LinkedIn Learning was already mentioned. So this is a great way to keep building your skills. If you go to the Connections student page, it is linked under that technology link. So you can click through there, or you can just search for LinkedIn Learning and then sign in with your SSO with your Webster email. Because Webster does pay for subscription access. So while you're a student, if you are logging in with your Webster email password, you can access that for free. If it prompts you about a free trial, that means that you are not logging in correctly. And so there's all kinds of different topics and skills that you can learn about. LinkedIn has also added some features more recently. So there's things called role guides where they have some presets for different career options. So for instance, if somebody is doing, accounting, LinkedIn will say, oh, we've, suggested these particular courses because these all relate to commonly asked for skills in accounting job postings on LinkedIn. So it kind of is this feed to suggest some things that may be a good fit for you. There's also an AI role play feature. So they have, again, kind of some basic presets and then some more customizable options. But if you want to, kind of practice, so maybe you have a big conversation coming up with your supervisor and you want to ask for a raise and you want to kind of practice what that conversation might look like, that's something that you could do with that, for instance. So there are definitely some professors on campus who will, use those LinkedIn Learning classes as part of assignments or things. So it's just another great resource to check out. And this is very new, just in the last couple of weeks. So there's a new program now from LinkedIn that students can request a year of free premium access. And so that premium access does allow you to message people who you don't have connections in common with. You can send out more of those messages. They have a higher threshold, for every month. You can see some more statistics about job postings, about, how many people clicked through to the job posting or applied, things like that. So in general, I would say that the LinkedIn Premium is not a necessity to, pay for, but it is going to be probably more useful if you are actively job searching. And so there's more information on that link. And so I'll send out this information to you all so you have it if you're interested in checking that out. So it may be something to think about if you want to request it now, or, maybe if you're a junior and you're not graduating until next year, maybe you wait a little while to, request it. So just something to keep in mind.
So I have a question
Yeah.
about that premium subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will graduate in at the end of this year. So, for
Oh,
example,
sure.
if I request for the subscription
Mhm.
and it's give me 1 year, so after my graduation and maybe I have around 3 or 4 months left, so can I continue to use it or?
Yes. So, that's a good question. What I believe is there is kind of a verification process when you request it. So, like, you have to be an enrolled student and have like a college email and things. So, I don't know that it necessarily will cut you off. Like, if you request it now while you are a student status, you may get that approved for the full year, or they may limit it, until your graduation date. I'm not quite sure what that process looks like because I literally just saw this had gotten posted last week from someone I know. So I think they're still kind of rolling this out. There has not been a lot of communication about it yet. So there are some things there, but I would say, definitely you can reach out, and even if it is just for a couple of months, that may still be useful to you if you are kind of job searching right now and you're getting ready to graduate. So these are just some links to other resources we have about, using LinkedIn, things you can include on your profile. So I will go ahead and open it up. If you all have other questions, or if you want me to show you any other features on LinkedIn or something, I'm happy to talk about that.
So can I ask about the
Hmm.
handshake? Uh,
Yeah.
because I know that there are some information or connection between the alumni or the Webster students in the Handshakes app. So can I ask you for instructing me to use the Handshake?
Yes. So for Handshake, you have obviously an account as a student. So once you graduate, you are very welcome to continue using Handshake. So your Webster email will get cut off after about a year, is generally the policy. So if you add your personal email to your Handshake account, there's a way you can do that in your settings. Then that way you will retain access to your account, and then you can use Handshake for as long as you like. If you forget to do that and your Webster email goes away, we still allow you to use Handshake. You would just have to make a new account, and you couldn't access any of that old history if you couldn't get back into that email. So if you go ahead and add your personal email at any point to your profile, that will ensure that you can keep accessing it. And so workshops like this or our events, you're always welcome to come to as an alumni. And so Handshake does have that feature where if people have made their profile viewable to other users, you can message folks. So both Webster alumni and folks from other Handshake universities, you could potentially reach out to them. So yeah, I think it's probably more people are going to actively be checking their LinkedIn as alumni than Handshake, but there is definitely a way to message and make connections on that platform as well. So does that answer your question?
Thank you very much.
Of course. And then did you have a question?
I have a question. It's
Hmm.
my first semester, and
Sure.
I would like to work, but I have to work in the university, right?
Oh, sure. If you're like an international student.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so maybe a suggestion, like in what area can I work is more easy for me. Like my English, I am taking ESL, so my English is not
Mm.
very perfect, you know. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. So for on-campus jobs, all of those opportunities are going to be posted on Handshake. So there are some offices that hire a higher volume of student workers. So for instance, places like the library and the university center and the, gym slash pool, the housing and residential life office, those types of places hire more student workers. For other offices, usually it's kind of a couple of people. So like for instance, my office has one student employee, so when that person leaves, I will hire a new person, but I'm not hiring, 20 people every year. So there's a lot of offices like that that might kind of just have positions pop up as people graduate or leave. So there are generally more postings towards the beginning of the school year. Sometimes there are postings kind of as you get close to the end of the semester, beginning of a new one, because there's always people that are going to be graduating and leaving. So every department on campus does their own hiring. They all like make their own decisions. So, if Katie is making decisions about who she wants to hire in the university center, I don't have anything to do with that process. She makes the decisions on who she wants to interview and goes through those. So for any particular role on campus, a lot are very customer service focused. So, talking about things like, working the front desk, helping students with questions or scheduling appointments, answering the phone, things like that. There are also some more back end things where you might be helping with their social media or doing more like data entry. So you're not necessarily talking to people all day. So you can just kind of take a look at those job descriptions to see what they're looking for or what they're asking for. And then kind of see if you feel like that feels like a good fit, or if you feel like maybe some of those are not kind of the best fit for where you're at the moment. So we also have a page on our connections. So we have a lot of resources. If you go to the career planning development department here, and so we have information on a variety of topics like networking, for instance. So some of those other things I link to, like you can find those here. And then we do have a page about kind of the process for on-campus jobs. So that has kind of all the information, how to search, all the basics with that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions that you all have?
Yeah, I think that and there's no question from me.
Okay,
Thank you very
great.
much for your help.
Yeah, well, no problem. So I will send follow-up information within the next day or so, just so you have that if you want to go through anything at any point. But otherwise, thank you for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You.